The United States Supreme Court stands as the highest court in the land. It is a symbol of justice and the rule of law, representing the ultimate authority in the American judicial system. It plays a pivotal role in American democracy, ensuring that the principles enshrined in the Constitution are upheld and protected. The court interprets the Constitution, providing clarity and guidance on its meaning and application in various legal contexts. It decides if laws are fair and just. Its decisions impact everyone, from individuals to large corporations and even the government itself. Cases involving gun control, transgender rights, online pornography, religious freedom, and voting rights are on the docket. These issues are at the forefront of societal debates and reflect the evolving values and challenges of our time. These cases are generating intense debate, not just in the courtroom but across the nation. They spark discussions in homes, workplaces, and public forums. The outcomes will shape the future of America, influencing the direction of the country for years to come. The Supreme Court's decisions can change how we live our lives, affecting everything from our personal freedoms to our societal norms. They can impact our freedoms, either expanding or restricting the rights we hold dear. They can uphold or overturn existing laws, setting new legal standards and precedents. The court's power comes from its ability to interpret the Constitution, a document that has guided the nation for over 2 centuries. This document is the foundation of American law, embodying the principles of liberty, justice, and equality. The court's rulings set precedents, which lower courts must follow. These precedents ensure consistency and stability in the legal system. These precedents guide lower courts, helping them make decisions that align with the Supreme Court's interpretations. They influence legal thinking for generations, shaping the education and practice of future lawyers and judges. The 9 justices of the Supreme Court face a daunting task. They must balance the letter of the law with the spirit of justice. They must weigh complex legal arguments considering the broader implications of their rulings. They must consider the potential consequences of their decisions, understanding that their rulings will affect millions of lives. Their rulings will have a ripple effect, influencing not just the immediate parties involved, but society as a whole. These effects will be felt throughout society, shaping public opinion and policy. The weight of the nation's hopes and anxieties rests on their shoulders. Their decisions can bring about change or maintain the status quo. The court's decisions will determine the direction of the country, influencing its legal and moral compass. The 2025 to 2026 term is shaping up to be a pivotal one, with cases that could redefine key aspects of American life. The court is tackling some of the most divisive issues facing the nation, issues that touch on fundamental rights and freedoms. These issues strike at the heart of American values, challenging our understanding of liberty, equality, and justice. They raise questions about freedom, equality, and justice, questions that the court must address with wisdom and fairness. The court's decisions will have a profound and lasting impact on American society, shaping the nation's future for generations to come. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms. This right is not absolute. The government can regulate firearms. The Supreme Court is currently considering a case that could have major implications for gun control. The case is Smith & Wesson Brands v. Estados Unidos Mexicanos. Mexico brought this lawsuit. They argue that American gun manufacturers are responsible for the flow of illegal guns into their country. Mexico claims that these guns are used by drug cartels. They blame the violence in Mexico on these guns. Gun rights advocates argue that manufacturers are not responsible for how their products are used. They say that holding them liable would set a dangerous precedent. They fear that it would lead to lawsuits against other industries. The Supreme Court's decision in this case could have far-reaching consequences. If Mexico wins, it could open the door to more lawsuits against gun manufacturers. This could force them to change their business practices. It could make it harder for people to get guns legally. If the gun manufacturers win, it would be a major victory for the gun lobby. It would make it more difficult to regulate guns in the United States. Transgender rights have become a flashpoint in the culture wars, sparking intense debates and protests across the nation. The issue has polarized communities and brought to the forefront the struggles and rights of transgender individuals. The Supreme Court is currently considering a case that could have a major impact on the lives of transgender people. This case has the potential to set a precedent that will influence future legislation and court decisions. The case is United States v. Skrmetti, a landmark legal battle that has captured national attention. It involves a challenge to Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, a law that has been both highly controversial and deeply divisive. Tennessee's law prohibits doctors from providing hormone therapy or surgery to transgender youth, effectively denying them access to essential medical care. Supporters of the law say it is necessary to protect children from making irreversible decisions at a young age. They believe that such medical interventions should be delayed until the individual is an adult. They argue that children are not old enough to make life-altering decisions about their gender identity and that waiting until adulthood is a safer approach. Opponents of the law say it is discriminatory and harmful, arguing that it denies transgender youth the right to necessary medical care and support. They argue that gender-affirming care is medically necessary and supported by major medical organizations as a critical component of healthcare for transgender individuals. They say that it can be life-saving for transgender youth, providing them with the support and care they need to thrive. They point to the high rates of suicide among transgender youth, emphasizing the urgent need for accessible and affirming medical care. The Supreme Court's decision in this case will have a significant impact on transgender rights, potentially shaping the legal landscape for years to come. If the court upholds Tennessee's law, it could embolden other states to pass similar bans, creating a patchwork of laws that vary widely from state to state. This would make it more difficult for transgender youth to access the care they need, potentially leading to negative health outcomes and increased mental health struggles. If the court strikes down the law, it would be a major victory for transgender rights, affirming the importance of access to gender-affirming care. It would send a message that transgender youth are entitled to the same rights and protections as other children, reinforcing the principle of equality under the law. Section 4. Free speech or public safety, the battle over online pornography. The internet has revolutionized the way we communicate and access information. It has brought the world closer, making it easier to share ideas, knowledge, and culture across vast distances. However, this unprecedented access also comes with its own set of challenges. It has also created new challenges for regulating harmful content. The sheer volume of information and the speed at which it spreads make it difficult to control what is accessible, especially to younger audiences. The Supreme Court is currently considering a case that could have major implications for free speech online. This case is not just about one law, it's about setting a precedent for how we balance the need for safety with the right to free expression. The case is Free Speech Coalition versus Paxton. It has garnered national attention, with many seeing it as a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate over internet regulation. It involves a challenge to a Texas law requiring age verification for access to websites that contain sexually explicit material. This law aims to prevent minors from easily accessing adult content online. Supporters of the law say it is necessary to protect children from pornography. They believe that without such measures, children are at risk of being exposed to harmful material that could affect their development. They argue that pornography can be harmful to children. Exposure to explicit content at a young age can lead to a range of negative outcomes, including distorted views on sexuality and relationships. They say that it can desensitize them to violence and sexual exploitation. This desensitization can have long-term effects on their mental health and social behavior. Opponents of the law say it is a violation of the First Amendment. They argue that the law infringes on the fundamental right to free speech and expression. They argue that it is too broad. The law, they say, could be used to restrict access to a wide range of content that is not harmful or explicit. They say that it would block access to a wide range of legitimate content. This could include educational materials, artistic works, and other forms of expression that are protected under the First Amendment. They argue that there are less restrictive ways to protect children from pornography. For example, parents can use filters and parental controls to monitor and restrict their children's internet usage. The Supreme Court's decision in this case could have a significant impact on free speech online. It will set a precedent for how similar cases are handled in the future. If the court upholds the Texas law, it could open the door to more government regulation of the internet. This could lead to increased censorship and control over what content is accessible online. This could make it more difficult for people to access information. The internet, which has been a bastion of free expression, could become a more restricted space. It could stifle free expression. The fear of government overreach could lead to self-censorship, where individuals and organizations avoid sharing certain content to stay within legal boundaries. If the court strikes down the law, it would be a victory for free speech advocates. It would reaffirm the principle that the internet should remain a free and open platform for all. It would send a message that the government cannot censor the internet. This decision could have far-reaching implications for how we navigate the complex landscape of digital rights and responsibilities. Section 5. Religious Freedom versus Anti-Discrimination, the Catholic Charities Case. Gap 2S, Section 6. The Ripple Effect of Supreme Court Decisions on Civil Liberties. Gap 3S. In recent years, the Supreme Court has made several landmark decisions that have significantly impacted civil liberties in the United States. Gap 3S. These rulings have not only shaped the legal landscape but have also influenced public opinion and societal norms. Gap 3S. One of the most notable decisions was the ruling on same-sex marriage in Obergefell v. Hodges. Gap 3S. This historic case granted same-sex couples the right to marry, affirming that the Constitution guarantees equal protection under the law for all citizens. Gap 3S. The decision was celebrated as a major victory for LGBTQ+ rights and has had a profound impact on the lives of millions of Americans. Gap 3S. Another critical decision was the ruling on the Affordable Care Act in National Federation of Independent Business v. Sebelius. Gap 3S. The court's decision to uphold the individual mandate as a tax-preserved health insurance coverage for millions of Americans, ensuring that access to healthcare remains a fundamental right. Gap 3S. The court has also weighed in on issues of free speech, as seen in Citizens United v. Federal Election Commission. Gap 3S. This controversial ruling allowed for unlimited corporate spending in elections, raising questions about the influence of money in politics and the extent of free speech protections. Gap 3S. These decisions, among others, highlight the Supreme Court's pivotal role in defining the boundaries of civil liberties. Gap 3S. Each ruling sends ripples through society, influencing legislation, policy, and the everyday lives of citizens. Gap 3S. As we reflect on these decisions, it's crucial to consider their long-term implications. Gap 3S. The balance between protecting individual freedoms and addressing societal needs is a delicate one. Gap 3S. The Supreme Court's interpretations of the Constitution will continue to shape the fabric of American society for generations to come. Gap 3S. Join us next time as we delve deeper into another pressing issue that defines our times. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. Gap 3S. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Gap 2S, Section 7. The Supreme Court's influence on economic policies. Gap 3S. While the Supreme Court is often associated with landmark cases on civil liberties and social issues, its role in shaping economic policies is equally significant. Gap 3S. The court's decisions can have far-reaching implications for businesses, consumers, and the overall economy. Gap 3S. One notable case is South Dakota v. Wayfair Inc., where the court ruled that states could collect sales tax from online retailers, even if they don't have a physical presence in the state. Gap 3S. This decision leveled the playing field between brick-and-mortar stores and online giants, impacting e-commerce and state revenues. Gap 3S. Another crucial ruling came in National Labor Relations Board v. Noel Canning, which addressed the limits of presidential power in making recess appointments. Gap 3S. The decision reinforced the system of checks and balances, affecting how labor disputes and union negotiations are handled across the nation. Gap 3S. In the realm of financial regulation, the court's ruling in Saela Law, LLC v. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau questioned the structure and independence of federal agencies. Gap 3S. This case highlighted the ongoing debate over regulatory oversight and the balance of power between the executive branch and independent agencies. Gap 3S. These examples illustrate the Supreme Court's critical role in interpreting laws that govern economic activities, from taxation and labor relations to financial regulation. Gap 3S. The court's decisions not only influence the legal framework but also shape the economic landscape, affecting how businesses operate and how consumers are protected. Gap 3S. As we continue to navigate a complex and evolving economy, the Supreme Court's interpretations will remain a cornerstone in the development of economic policies. Gap 3S. Thank you for joining us for this analysis. Gap 3S. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay informed about our latest content.